Hey, it's Sam, making this video for the upcoming week, this week of April 6th. We have some good news. It's been some pretty heavy astrological stuff happening literally about the last month and a half, with all the eclipse energy, all the planets going through Pisces, K2 Mars, the Sun, and then Venus in Aries, and eclipses. First of all, Venus is going to go into Taurus on Monday. So by Tuesday, Venus will be firmly in Taurus, but more importantly, it'll be out of Aries. Venus went into Aries like March 12th. So last 3 weeks or so, it's been really difficult. You might have noticed an enormous amount of intolerance, like in your relationship and your capacity to compromise and desire to want to compromise. Real kind of difficult shadow Venus relating values, valuing others, respecting others kind of thing going on, and really very strongly and maybe with too much force, establishing our boundaries and the kind of unwillingness to compromise. I've seen a lot of lashing out and hurt feelings the last few weeks because of Venus in Aries. It was also happening while this eclipse cycle was happening, and Mars was with K2 and all of that. So on April 6th, Venus will go into Taurus, which is the sign that it rules, bringing much more stable energy around our values and wanting to enjoy life and enjoy others, and bringing more of a healthy compromise into situations. Because Venus went into Aries, and then a couple weeks later, about a week and a half later, Mars went into Aries. So it wasn't just Venus in Aries, but then it was joined Mars. So again, this whole capacity and desire and willingness to compromise has been hard for the last few weeks, and a lot of personal interactions and relationships could have been compromised. So the other thing that's going to happen is Jupiter is going to turn direct on April 8th. Jupiter's been retrograde since December 4th. So we felt Jupiter going backwards since that time. Jupiter, so those things that have been, where you've been looking for higher wisdom, maybe with your teachers and your teachings and whatnot, you can really feel them starting to move forward now a lot more. Maybe those things were going backwards a little bit since middle of December last year. So you can feel those things moving forward now, and just feeling renewed sense of hope. And of course, whatever houses Jupiter rules for you, you could have felt some sort of backwards momentum in that area of life, and that's from your rising sign. So Jupiter moving forward, it's in its sign of exaltation, although it's pretty far away from the exact degree, but it still has been a time where we felt a kind of renewed sense of hope and optimism, and the necessity to bring our teachers and teachings into our heart. Since the middle of last year, Jupiter went into Cancer in, I think it was the middle of June or early July, and so since then we felt that desire to really have our principles be in alignment with our higher teachings. But again, since December of last year, Jupiter has been retrograde, so how to really go about doing that or bringing it about could have been a little more confusing. So you'll feel that moving forward again, April 8th, and then Jupiter will be direct until the end of the year. So that's definitely good news. So these are two big things, Venus in Taurus and Jupiter moving forward. Now, a few other things about this week, though. The moon is going to be hemmed or joined Saturn for a good portion of the week. Between Monday and Friday, the moon is either going to be hemmed between Rahu and Saturn, or it's going to be joined Saturn and debilitated in Scorpio. So for much of the week, you might still feel some emotional heaviness and stress. When the planets are hemmed, there's like an environment of pressure and stress. And it just follows a simple rule. One of the reasons is because it was just joined, Rahu, it was just joined one malefic, and then there's another one that's kind of waiting. So, you know, energetically we can feel this, even though it might seem like it's something abstract. It's really not, because whether the moon is there or not, as the Earth is turning, we're getting these energies every day. That, you know, the ascendant changes every couple hours each day. So the sign of Libra has been hemmed since September of last year, when Rahu went into Virgo. So when the moon goes into that place where it's in Libra, then it's going to experience that hemming, and then after Libra, the moon goes into Scorpio, where it's debilitated and joins Saturn. So there's still some stuff going on this week, but actually by the end of the week, things will have changed quite a bit. So again, I talked about two good things at the beginning, April 6th and April 8th. Both Venus will improve in dignity, moving into Taurus, the sign that it rules, bringing sort of solid comfort, established peace, wanting to really nurture and maybe even, like, you know, repair the damage done by some kind of over-assertion of our boundaries and, you know, destruction of a certain amount of respect, if that's happened. And then Jupiter will also move direct on April 8th. But also, actually, by the end of the week, the Sun will move into Aries, so we'll have exalted Sun. Also, Mercury has been debilitated. Mercury's really flying around the Sun right now, so Mercury is also going to be out of debilitation by the end of this week. So a lot of the heaviness will be passing. So that means that the eclipse passed, the debilitated Mercury will pass, and this, like, Venus in Aries will pass. You know, Venus in Aries join Mars, all of that real, you know, heaviness and triggering and, you know, kind of difficult, willful, confusing energy of the last month and a half is kind of ending this week. By this time next week, by April 13th, April 12th, or 13th of next week, we'll have Venus firmly established in Taurus, Jupiter direct, Mars in Aries, Sun exalted, Mercury out of debilitation. So all those planets are going to be, you know, out of that eclipse south node place, out of that Aries, you know, because again, when planets are in Aries, we're triggered and we're fighting and we're, you know, especially when it's Venus or, you know, planets that we want to create harmony. Now, we'll have Mercury in Aries, so, but, you know, we'll talk about that when it happens. Mercury will be in Aries with Mars and the Sun, so we'll still have to kind of watch our mouth a little bit next, you know, starting next week. But it's better than having, you know, Venus there and these other planets, you know, join K2 and being eclipsed and all this stuff. So, some good news. A lot of this real, especially emotional, psychological, relational heaviness of the last month or so, we can feel it starting to recede, especially by the middle of the week. Again, we'll still be dealing with some heaviness with the moon hemmed between Rahu and Saturn, and then join Saturn and in its sign of debilitation up until like Thursday. Friday, the moon goes into Sagittarius and will be, you know, at the end of that as well. So anyway, hope you have a good week. Leave me some comments. Let me know how things are going.